Hey folks, today we're going to talk about what HTML is. Now, if you did the hour of code thing already, you will have used HTML a little bit to add some text and images to a web page, but we're going to dive into the concept a little bit more so you can improve your skills here. So let's get into it. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. I'm going to break it down a little further because if you understand what each part of that means, then you'll remember why we use HTML and how it does its job. So, markup language is a way to write and store a formatted text document. So, I know it's a little wordy, but anytime you've used a word processor like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, or anytime you've visited some sort of user interface, whether that's a website or a mobile app or whatever, um, the content that you see that's formatted is stored in a markup language like HTML or XML, or there's a bunch of other ones out there. Um, and so this is a special type of markup language that leverages hypertext, which is a system that links topics on the screen to related information. Um, the reason why we use hypertext markup language on the web is because of this linking power. So Tim Berners-Lee, the guy who invented the web, decided to use HTML for these web pages because you can easily link from one page to another. That's with that hypertext technology. So HTML, hypertext markup language, it allows us to format our content and also link to other pages easily. So let's move on. Now, HTML is made up of tags and elements. Tags are the way to specify the type of content or the type of text that you have. So if you have a heading, like a title on the top of your screen, you would use an H1 tag to specify that, hey, this text needs to be very large at the top. Um, and then an element is what we call the combination of that text content with its tags. So if you look at this example here, you have an opening tag that says, hey, this is where my H1 starts, and then a closing tag, which is where it ends, and then in between is the content. All of that together is called an HTML element. In this case, it's an H1 element. So there are many types of tags. Here are some examples. You have different size headings that you can work with, all the way from 1 to 6, 6 being the smallest. Other common tags include P for paragraph, BR means line break, it's like hitting enter on the page. And then you've got images, links, which are also known as anchors, so it's an A tag. And then dividers. There's plenty of tags you can learn. You can Google information about what tag does the job you're looking to do. But we'll dive into them more later. An HTML document as a whole is made up of two sections. You have a head and you have a body. And the head contains background data. Background data is called metadata. This includes things like the author, what types of fonts and colors your page is using. That's what this part says, is talking about, links to CSS. It contains the title of your page that shows up in the tab at the top of your screen. That's all background data or metadata. And then the content is everything you see on the page, so text and images. These were the tags we were talking about just a slide ago. Headings, paragraphs, images, links, etc. All of that belongs in the body. And then outside of these head and body elements is the entire HTML element. And then at the top we're saying, hey, this document is an HTML document and should be rendered as such. So that is the structure of every HTML page. You got to have the doc type at the top. You got to have the HTML tag and then the head and the body containing each part of the website, the background data and the foreground data, or the metadata and the content. Okay? So here's an example of how that all comes together. So I have an HTML document defined here with the background data. All I have is a title saying my site, and that background data, that title shows up in the tab of your web browser. And then the only content I have in the body of the page is just an H1 that says welcome. And so that's all you would see in the browser. So when you type a URL in the browser, it's literally getting an HTML file from a server, which is just a special computer that is hooked up to the internet and has an address and says, hey, if you visit me, I will send you a file or some data, or etc. And so once it gets that file, the browser displays that HTML as formatted content. It's like, okay, I've got that background data, I'm going to put it up there. I've got that H1, I'm going to render it as a large heading, and that will be it. So let's do a little bit of coding together. You can follow along if you'd like in Code.js, or you can just watch the video here. I'm going to go to the sandbox, which you can go to by clicking the sandbox button in the top left. And then I'm just going to name my program what is HTML. Click create program, and then I'm going to select HTML as the type of program that I'm creating. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to add the metadata and the sections that define my document first. So we've got the doc type HTML. We've got that HTML tag, we're in sections, and then we have the head and a body. The head goes on top of the body, just like people. And then as far as metadata goes, I'm going to have a title that says my site. And then I'm going to switch to code view for a minute just so I can show you how typing in these tags work. So if I were to type in an H1 tag, so I do shift comma to get that first angle bracket, and then H1, and then shift period, and then it's going to autocomplete the closing tag for me. And I can say welcome. And then how about I add a paragraph tag as well? It says, this is my website. And that's it. Let's save it and run our code. And there's our website. If we open the HTML in a new window, it's going to say my site up in the tab, and then we've got our content on our page here. And if you right-click on the content and hit inspect, you'll see that, oh, this is my H1 and this is my paragraph, and then this is all the stuff in the head. And you can inspect each element of your page. You can even make temporary changes and say, welcome to all. And you can see what these temporary changes would look like. So that's it for this lesson. Know how to create a document, an HTML document. Just have the doc type, HTML, head, and body. And then for now, we're just putting a title in the head, and then we'll have some content in the body. And let me know if you have any questions. Go do the activities in this little module, and good luck.